Well, hello there. This may take a little while. Let's start by talking about riding just a little bit. Basically, most people around here, as you know from my previous comments, are the cruiser types, and they ride around the local streets, low, slow, and calm, and that's pretty cool. There's another kind of riding where people get out on the interstate, and that's cool because you can go, pretty fast rate of speed. It's mostly flat and level, and the curves are gradual and easy and banks a little bit. And actually, all seems kind of counterintuitive, but riding on the interstate is the safest form of riding. Why? Well, that's because everybody is going in the same direction at mostly the same speed, and it's makes it convenient, and there are no intersections to speak of. There's some merging traffic here and there, but it's just all going the same direction. Then there are idiots like me who prefer to get out on the back roads and ride around. This has been my preferred form of riding ever since I started. The few times that I took you riding, we hit the back roads. And sadly, riding on the back roads is not the safest way to ride a bike. As a matter of fact, it is the most risk-laden for several reasons, mostly because people ignore intersections, ignore stop signs, they turn left without looking right in front of you, and etc. So you have to be very careful when riding the back roads. Well, last Tuesday a week ago, I think it's, the last day of January, something like that. 1st of February it was. 1st of February I decided to go out riding because it was just the perfect day for riding. The skies were clear, you could see all the chemtrails. It was dry, low chance of rain or anything. The temperature was just right. It was upper 50s. It was just the perfect day for riding. So I decided to go travel to one of the local small towns that a friend of my wife lives at, and there's some nice older houses and all of that good stuff. And I decided to take the back roads because, scenery, countryside, trees, bushes, leaves, all that good stuff. And everything was fine for the first half hour or so, except that the camera was not working, didn't record anything. So, at any rate, I've had to reset the camera so it records next time I go riding. Well, there was, unfortunately, this one county road that intersected another county road in a T intersection. There was this road that I was going on that would come right up to this particular intersection that was the top of the T. There were no signs anywhere that said dead end, no stop sign, no nothing at all. Okay, well, fortunately I was going low enough and slow enough that I could slow down and make the left turn at the top of the T. Got almost all the way around when here was a patch of sand and gravel, washed out the front tire, and off the road I went sideways into a 4-foot ditch. Yes, the top of the T was a 4-foot ditch. Remember, unmarked. And I went over the side of the bike, tossed about 20 feet, knocked out, and Finally came to, lying on my back in the middle of a field with a bunch of people crowded around me. And I was fortunate that the people who were there were two guys who were EMTs who were just, they were on their way to work or on their way back. I can't remember which. And there was a guy who was, who'd been a rider, and his wife who was a retired RN. They took care of me. They found my tank bag, found the telephone, and they started calling around. They called the wife. They called around to different hospitals and tried to get an ambulance to come get me without any luck. So after a while, the medevac helicopter showed up with some nice people. County people showed up. They were really nice. They didn't bother me at all. They went through the tank bag, found all the paperwork, wrote up a report. I did not get cited for anything because it was obvious that, when I went down, it was, not my fault. I was not doing anything. I was not speeding, all of that stuff. So at any rate, the medevac flight shows up and they pump me full of fentanyl. I mean, seriously, I was feeling no pain at all. As a matter of fact, I was barely conscious. I do not remember getting off of the helicopter at the trauma center, but that's because I spent a couple of hours being pumped full of, I think it's called Provozol. It's an anesthetic that wipes your memory. And while in the trauma center, I got hit with Provozol 4 times, which kind of makes me wonder. At any rate, the worst damage was that my right elbow was dislocated, and the 2 bones in the forearm have small cracks in them. They weren't broken, so at any rate, my right arm is in a splint and a sling. It's a splint sling. Try saying that 5 times real fast. And I would have gone home, like the following morning, but the evening of the 1st is when the weather closed in. There was ice and snow and all kinds of stuff, so I got to spend 3 lovely days in the orthopedics ward of local hospital. Not exactly exciting. I'll tell you that. Yeah, it just was not exciting. Most of the people there were really nice. The nurses and the techs and everybody were real nice and sweet and took care of me very well. They were really sweet. So that's it. It's now a little over a week. I'm still limited to one-hand typing, which is just not the best. There is no real pain in my arm. It's just kind of a dull ache, the kind of ache that you get when the healing process gets started. Let's see, what else? Oh yes, in addition to the arm, I had some gnarly contusions. I mean, that's my right upper arm, the triceps, towards the shoulder is just one great big massive bruise, which tells me exactly how I landed when I landed after being tossed off the bike by a 4-foot ditch. And unfortunately, my ankles, got twisted a little bit, so they're bloated, full of liquids and stiff and all of that. So that's where we are, and I've got, 4, maybe 6 weeks of recovery to do here. Got an appointment with orthopedics this next Tuesday, which will be exactly 2 weeks after the accident, and we will find out just exactly what's going on with that. Have not heard from the insurance company very much. Apparently they cannot find where this accident occurred, even though they have been given the numbers of these 2 county roads and the GPS coordinates. I don't know what's going on with that and how they can't find 2 roads like that, but they haven't been able to find the roads apparently. And one of the guys who was at the accident site took charge of the motorcycle, and he's got it warehoused somewhere in a small town local to where the accident occurred, and the insurance company can't find that small town, which I'm beginning to wonder about the competence of some of the insurance people. But this is going to sound weird. I am hoping that they are going to total the bike. There are a couple of reasons for that. It will cost me a couple of $1,000 if they total the bike, because they will give me 60% of market value, which is nowhere near what it will take to get a new bike or even a year-old bike. But if they do not total it, then I'm stuck getting it repaired, because none of the local shops, none of the dealers will touch my bike, because I didn't buy my bike at their dealership. There are a couple of independent bike shops here in town, but they are heavily weighted to Harley Davidsons, and the one that I have managed to talk to have told me it would be 6 to 8 months before they could even start working on it. So that's the crappy part of the situation. If they total it, then I can go to one of the dealerships and have them order me a new bike. And then it will be, God knows, 2 months, 4 months before I get a new bike. And I'm not looking forward to that, but it beats the heck out of the alternative of somebody sort of repairing the bike and not knowing whether it's going to work or not, or work properly or not. And frankly, I do not have the mechanical skills to fix anything if it's serious enough that the bike won't start or won't run properly. I mean, yeah, sure, the cosmetic damage, that's the body panels and such as that, the fenders, sure, I could do that. That's just screw and unscrew and screw and unscrew, and always too soon. But motor maintenance, modern motorcycle engines, that just I can't wrap my head around them. And having to do anything revolves around, you have to take off the gas tank, and then you have to take off this and that and one thing and another and all sorts of other stuff, and it's hours of work just to change the cotton pick and air filter. I'd really prefer the old style bike, but that's because I'm an old geezer. Which is one of the less pleasant aspects of this, was reading the summary of the hospital visit. Excuse me for just a second. And got out the hospital report and read their summary. And at the very top it says 72-year-old male presents with. And the 72-year-old just drops me every time. I mean, I know I'm 72, but there in cold black and white it is, and it's making me confront just exactly how freaking old I am. But the visit report from the physicians is interesting. Apparently, even though they hit me up with Provozole and I can't remember any of it, apparently I was lucid the entire time, lucid, cooperative. They remarked that I was in remarkably good shape for a 72-year-old white boy. And that's that. They took care of me. I'm home. I'm doing okay, but having your right arm in a sling is inconvenient. I'm discovering just exactly how seriously right-handed I am. Doing stuff with the left hand is just weird as all get out. But overall, if I had been going a little bit slower, like 10 miles an hour, I could have made the turn and I would have been okay. But when you've got an intersection that's totally unmarked, that it's a dead end or anything, what the heck are you supposed to do? I mean, I'm being punished for the incompetence or the insouciance of somebody else. And I don't know. Can you sue a county for negligence? Beats heck out of me. And besides, good Lord, lawyers and courts and suing people and all of that would just take forever. And this county is just little bitty towns and villages that, probably couldn't afford much. Probably doesn't even have good liability insurance for whatever. Finally, after all of these years, almost 50 years off and on of riding, I finally had my big accident. There's a saying amongst motorcyclists that there are two kinds of bikers. There are those who've had a crash and those who are going to crash. And I have finally had mine after all of these years. Laws of probability caught up with me, kid, and I'm not hurting. I'm not in bad shape. I'm not in the hospital with arms and legs up in slings. But there is a guy who 4 or 5 days later, after I had my accident, this guy was on a big heavy Harley, and he was going a little bit faster than he should have. He had no gear, and he hit that same intersection, and he has been in the hospital ever since then. He's going in like his 5th day now, 5th or 6th day. I don't remember which. He's in a real hurt. God knows how he's going to make it through it. And that's the other aspect of this accident, that law enforcement, the EMTs, the doctors, nurses, and all of that have commented on. I was geared up. Seriously, had on a good helmet, was wearing a good jacket that had body armor in it, chest, back, shoulders, had good quality boots on, so I had no broken bones, no injuries to the spine or any of that, no cracked ribs, nothing. What I got was bruising from the impact, which tells me that yes, I was right about wearing gear and about paying a little extra to have good gear. I'm not saying it saved my life, but it saved me from having broken arms, broken ribs, spinal damage, broken leg, God knows what all could have happened. Because impacting a ditch and getting tossed 20 feet is not as much fun as it sounds. So at any rate, yeah, they packed up all of my gear, so I brought it home. They had to cut off the pants, had to cut off the jacket, but I can see where the body armor saved me from serious damage. And that's pretty much it, kid. Could have been worse, could have been better, but it finally happened to me, and now it's time for me to heal up and negotiate with the insurance company and to move on. So it's going to be a while, maybe 2, 3, 4 months before I'll have new footage of riding around. We'll see what happens, how much money the insurance company is willing to give me for the bike, and what I will do with that. Stay tuned for that. I will update you as I hear from them and we get into negotiations on money and all of that. So, hugs and kisses and all of that. I'm glad to hear that you and Steve have recovered and are doing well. Take care of yourselves. And yeah, try not to end up in a ditch anywhere. I'll talk to you in a few more days, maybe another week. I've got to do another comp video. I'll take care of that this weekend. And until then, see you around.